Okay, I'm already seeing bullshit memes that's saying things like, on the 11th of November 2018, there'll be some kind of great cosmic convergence. It will be a moment and a time of unity and love. Portals will open. Bull fucking shit. I mean, there will be 100 years to the day of the most successful mass ritual ever conducted in human or subhuman history. The so-called Great War. Why was it a Great War? Because it was great for the people who conducted the ritual. The European aristocracy, particularly the British aristocracy, who decided that they needed a big ritual to get rid of all the working class males and lower middle class males, because mechanization would have made them into a huge revolutionary force. So they killed them all in World War I. Now, if you don't believe me, 2 links below, go have a look. The fact it was a ritual is proven by the end date, the 11th of the 11th of the 11th, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. You don't pick things like that just for a joke. That was a Freemasonic ritualistic calling card. Now, all the European families, with the exception of the Romanovs, who had been hexed by stupidly killing Rasputin, did very well out of this. And those of you who say, well, they abolished the Ottoman Empire, they abolished the German Empire, it abolished the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Habsburgs, they still all retained their castles and their palaces, and they moved into senior positions in things like the League of Nations. What are the big think tanks of today, like the Bilderbergs and the Trilateral Commission? They're all the sons and grandchildren of the aristocrats who were in power before World War I. Prussian aristocracy, nothing has changed in that regard. They're not kings of a land anymore, but they didn't give up anything. Now, someone has decided, most possibly the same a dark occultic group, or even the original descendants of the ones who did the Great War, to have some kind of great celebration on the 11th. Now remember, it's 100 years to the day. The charge will be phenomenal. They have ramped up the Great War thing, the Fallen, this year, like Jesus, nobody's business. Now, most important of all is, ask yourself one single question. Why does the Great War get all this attention, where all the soldiers who died in World War II and all the other wars since, remember there's been vast numbers of wars since the Great War, why don't they get the same attention? Always notice that everything to do with the Great War is, oh, I won't do that again, is emotionally charged. Oh, the Fallen, Sassoon's poems, all these young Tommies, all these young lads. Yes, it's true, but that's never, you ever hear him talking that way about the ones in World War II who met the same fate? That's the reason why. The royals want you putting all your emotion into the greatest ritual they ever performed. The aristocrats. I'm not putting down a men who died in World War I. Don't get me wrong that way. I'm just saying this is why it's more important than any other war, and why you wear a bullet hole poppy. That's what that is a bullet hole, by the way. Fountains of poppies. Oh, that's rivers of blood out of all the castles. Why do you think they're all over castles like Windsor Castle? Are you really that naive? Finally, on the 11th of November, do nothing. If you lost a family member in the war, a quiet reflection upon them. Don't be tuned into the Queen laying wreaths at the cenotaph while the last post is being played. Don't be walking around with your puppy going, I honour the fallen. I'm going to requote some Frederick Sassoon poems. I honour my father was a member of the Enniskillen 15th Rifles, and he fought at Passchendaele. I honour the fallen, and all this crap. And all this emotional intensity, a quiet reflection, a quiet moment of empathy and compassion for the men who died. But do make sure that is not channeled anywhere else, especially to that Queen in fucking England, who's going to be laying, or whoever will be laying, if she's still alive, laying that wreath at the cenotaph, because you're being played as a sucker. And then ask yourself one single question, and it demolishes everything. It totally validates my argument. Why every single war from World War II on, no one cares about? It's always the fallen.
Designed by the architect of annihilation and slaughter, Sir Edwin Lutyens, the architect who also designed the cenotaph in London to commemorate the fallen rather than the slaughtered in World War I, and also oversaw the Grand Masonic Lodge of London, the Irish National War Memorial Gardens on the western side of the city opposite the Phoenix Park obelisk is dedicated to the memory of the 50,000 Irish men who were killed fighting in British colonial wars in World War I. What makes these memorial gardens even more bizarre and sinister is that the garden's first public event took place just as World War II had begun. The irony apparently lost on all in attendance. The Irish National War Memorial is made of 4 mausoleums, essentially empty boxes for the containment of the souls of the dead. Rooms filled with ghosts of young men and the occasional woman to indulge the royal families of Europe who are all interrelated with one another at the same time. Resplendent with the usual calling cards of Masonic motifs, the memorial gardens culminate in a giant stone sarcophagus at the center of the quadrant, nestled between 2 obelisks, a psychometric repository of the dead. While the official story remains that such places as these commemorates the loss of so many young people in what is called the Great Cross of Sacrifice, the reality is they create a very sterilized view of what war and mass industrial slaughter actually is. For example, the term the fallen is much more palatable than the slaughtered. Likewise, the lack of details concerning the loss of these young people in World War I adds to this overall sterilization of war in order to guarantee a replenishing of young blood sacrificed to the same goddess Britannia who sits atop the customs house in central Dublin. Another thing that also makes the memorial gardens in Dublin interesting is that they are built on the location of where Brian Boru encamped his army on the eve of the Battle of Clontarf on the 23rd of April 1014 against the Vikings. The Irish National War Memorial Gardens is nothing more than a celebration of slaughter, sanitized and dressed up in order to remove the blame from the royal families who caused it, and to ensure that future generation of young men won't be traumatized by its pastoral gardens, so they may replenish the goddess Britannia once again. The oblong sarcophagus at the center is inscribed with no names because ultimately the unclean and the profane don't matter.